Hmm. Hey, maybe some funkiness with levels during here or something. I'm starting new levels in. That's what it's starting to feel like.
Don't you dare say authorization error. Don't say it. Okay, good. Hey, BuzzGames app, how you doing? BGZ, says the sober guy. We're gonna reconnect to Facebook just to make sure we get all of the chitty chats from our kitty cats. And now Paul puts his headphones on. All right, all right, all right. Ah, shoot, you know what? I was gonna give myself a drink of water, glass of water before I sat down. So, I'll let you look at Larry for a minute, BuzzGame, while I go grab myself a glass of water. Actually, I think I've still got my juice in the fridge. So I'll do that. I'll get all these things going. You have to go to sleep. All right, BuzzGame. Well, I appreciate you saying hi before you went to bed. Take care, buddy. You have a good evening. I hope you get a lot of rest. All right, got all that set up. Test. Sweet. I just don't want any more coffee today. I'm already kind of jumping around on it.
Ugh.
What? Oh. I need to mute my stream where I haven't said anything so I can tell you something, Paul. And I'm back. I see there's people that had joined our chat. Sorry, we actually had a little spot of good news for a moment. So I'm just taking care of a little bit of paperwork. Potential good news. It's always potential good news. Hey, Middle. Just chasing down that publisher dream. It was funny, I was telling Paul earlier, early on, I tried to get publishers, and they said we needed to have more development done, but get back in touch. And then we get the development done, and they say, sorry, we'd like to be on board sooner. Welcome to the endless nightmare of game publishing. Alright, so I've got Rick and Morty playing in my earbud. Yeah. And I got Twitch stream going. Alright. Alright, I think I can actually get back to developing. Yeah, publishers. Ah! You know, once you get in bed with one, though, your life can probably be a lot easier. It's funny because I keep reading on social media how pissed off people are against Electronic Arts for destroying indie companies, and it's just like looking at it from the other side. It is so hard to publish a game effectively that quite possibly those studios wouldn't survive regardless. So, you know, it's funny how your perspective changes depending on where you're at in the situation. The humidity is dropping and my nose is just filled with dryness. And my Kleenex box is empty. God damn it. I've got the Rick and Morty theme song playing. Yeah, people like to blame. The other thing is too is it's like it's an industry just like anything else. You know, if you can't make a product and sell a product, then you're not going to live in the industry. And for all the crap people want to talk about EA, they are continuing to earn money and create jobs. You can argue that they destroy jobs, but they also create them. All right, well, I can't take a runny nose for a long time, so I'm gonna go grab a tissue. I will be right back. Right as soon as we get 2 or 3 people watching is when I disappear. I do miss having Emily's voice. In the daytime, it was like nice background sound when she was talking on stream. Alrighty. Middle and Oleg status? Sure. Hey, Oleg status. Nice to meet you. Alright, so I am struggle busing on 2 sections. And I know I want to try and drive the player to like the middle back-ish. But the challenge I'm trying to overcome is I don't want the player to have to just go in a straight line to somewhere. Now, ideally the player isn't going to know ahead of time anyway that where they're supposed to go. And given the camera height and the walls in here, it probably won't be an issue because you're not going to really know where the middle is. Because if you take a look at this when it's lit, this is your camera height, and you are not necessarily going to see that the outside, actually you will never see that the outside is just a big circle. And especially given the maze, it isn't readily apparent that it's such. I do need to put a cap on this and not stress over it, because it would be better to have it done and people playing it than be nitpicking over perfection, which is never going to hit anyway. This is one of the things that I get frustrated with myself on, because like I was really rocking out on it on Friday. And then trying to pick back up where you were when you had a nice head of steam. Oops. Oops. Alright. So I shouldn't sweat it too much, basically because it's already mazed really well. So you'll never really realize that it's a big circle. And even then, there is no straight lines to get there. So I'm probably just sweating something that doesn't need to be sweated. Alright, let's go back into sublevel 7, and we'll keep making the murder maze. You know, I'd like to say I'm listening to one of my favorite Rick and Morty episodes, but honestly, I don't know which is my favorite one. Because, like, they're all pretty dang good. There we go. That gives plenty of room. Yeah, when he meets Unity. That is a pretty decent one. Right now I'm listening to Vindicators 3. Million Ents, everyone. Superhero with the superpower of 2 human eyes. Hey, Thick Slime. Emily isn't with us anymore. She does have her own channel. I don't think she's streaming right now. But that should be twitch.tv/EchoRose89. I believe that's her. Hopefully we'll get her on as a guest spot at some point, but we'll see how she feels about that. Yeah, everyone's okay. We're all just trying to, you know, get to the finish line here. Cool drinking, sexy drinking, not this psycho trailer park shit. Correct, Thick Slime. It is both going to be with and without VR, so you can play it even if you do not have VR. So right now I'm just finishing up the murder maze to get to the end zone and the murder forest. So murder maze, murder forest is coming on quite nicely. The lighting has come together very well. The maze has come together very well. For this one, I'd like to get it shipped out as soon as we can, just so we can get some revenues flowing into the studio, so we can keep making games. Right now, we've been talking with, at this point, today, and the last few weeks, several potential publishers and a VC firm and that kind of stuff, but it is very slow going. What the hell is Israel? Just something Rick starts talking about when he's drunk. You know, the funny thing was, the inspiration to make a horror game as the follow-up was, it was kind of twofold. We had gotten a number of, I don't want to say complaints, but criticisms that there was no single-player element to our first game. And, so, taking a look at what was popular in the market, I saw that VR, although it doesn't have a huge market reach, has a huge marketing popularity. So like on the games industry, typically you'll see more people talking about VR games right now. And that's probably just being pushed forward because Facebook, you know, owns Oculus and desperately wants Oculus not to be a $4 billion boondoggle. Literally a $4 billion boondoggle. But also, so it was more of, people seem to really like jump scare and horror, and it works really well with some of our characters, and I wanted to give it a try. I'm not super big in the horror genre myself. I've actually got a few friends that make horror movies, and I never, like, was big into it. But this has been an exceedingly fun development for me, because being able to watch people kind of get pissed off or crap themselves when something comes around a corner that they weren't expecting, and you know, it's been super fun being able to develop a much smaller game, because we'll get it done sooner. We can iterate a little bit faster. We don't have a million billion game mechanics that we have to worry about on it. It's a more simplistic design, and honestly, I've really started to enjoy lighting in game development, and it gave me an interesting opportunity to light things in a darker environment. So I've had a lot of fun with that, to try and make more ambiance and whatnot. Ambiance, I always feel like I'm saying that word wrong, like it should be ambience. But, so it's a few things: the marketing of it, the development time of it, the fun of it. And I haven't saved in a little while. And the engine hasn't crashed on me in a little while, so twofold, I'm going to save. I had a baby that was 500,000 ants and a half galactic star. I'd say this is about 80% Twabor assets, 20% marketplace. Like the zombie I got off the marketplace, but the specs, the hoods, and Alinea, Kate are all from ours. Campfire stuff is off the marketplace. These particular rocks are, but our other rocks, some of the trees are off like Speed Tree or the marketplace, but then you've got like a lot of the prop pieces, such as the walls, the pumps, the skulls, the gate posts, the barbed wire, the paneling, the spikes, blah blah blah. So it's kind of a blend. Most of it's from tubers. This was actually a converted level that we didn't end up using. Yeah, that we didn't end up using from original Twabor. It was a PvP level, and so I converted it over to use for this, and that saved me a bunch of time in development, because it was basically already blocked in. All I had to do is rearrange props and then relight it. It's more of a survival challenge than a puzzler. There are a couple of objectives you have to complete, but it isn't so much of like Resident Evil, where you have to specifically collect something and then put a shadow on a wall. There is a couple of collection things, again, more of objective based than puzzle based. damn it.
Ugh.
I'm just going to stack some buildings on each other, change the direction and angles of them. That way it gives us a little bit of variety, similar to what we did with the rocks. Alright, so we got people on other channels too. Hey Facebook, how you doing? Mixer? We got anybody hanging out on YouTube? You enjoying the dual webcam setup? Hey Zeb, it was more out of amusement, so that way if Paul quickly wanted to be on the webcam, I could just turn it, name it at him. You know what, Zeb? You're neat. Whoops, wrong direction. It takes a little getting used to doing stuff in 3D because, like, oftentimes the directions don't go where you think they should go. Gotta make sure I'm not closing off any trees. the amount of tedious work that goes into game design, it's a wonder we have games at all. Yeah, I don't know if I mean, some of it's tedious. I would argue everything that Paul does is tedious, and I would murder myself if I tried to do coding. But on the flip side...
doing something interesting right now. I'm trying to figure out why one sublevel decides to not replicate. Everything else is fine. Like I tried changing from lava flow enemy to lava flow team deathmatch. Team deathmatch one works just fine. Lava flow enemy just has some weirdness to it.
Yeah, Paul's dealing with a code problem right now. And
it's an unreal, I don't know what, like I did not, there was been nothing in change in code. All the code's fine. It's just some weird Unreal decides, oh, I hate you.
yeah, so, you know, to each their own. I don't know if Paul would necessarily enjoy moving a bunch of rocks around in a rock maze all day. He might, you never know. He's got kind of a sick sense of rock development. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Making work up. Making things up. I'm probably gonna head out here after I do this last test. I'm gonna head out. I can't
Sounds good.
It's giving me a headache.
Hey Marcus, how you doing? If you were to go back and start Twayber again, what would you do differently? Honestly, the game itself, I rather like. It's, from a business perspective, I would try to get us in bed with the publisher sooner, because we did just fine making the game. The budget went higher than I'd ever anticipated because I was trying to do too much. So I would try to get us in bed with the publisher much sooner. I mean, I did try back in the first year, but apparently we weren't far enough. And I think I would have kept just trying to keep the conversation active. As far as game design goes, I probably, looking at what current game releases are for indies, I would probably do sooner what we're possibly going to do, which is release the game in stages. So Team Deathmatch, Go Gold, Skullball, add that as DLC, Death and Glory, add that as DLC, and have lower price point for each mode, but let the player pick the modes that they want to play, instead of trying to bundle it all together, because although this is easily, or Twaybor is easily a $24 game, the perception by the consumers right now is really skewed based off of other games. Middle says Paul would make the rocks move themselves. Yeah, Paul probably would. He'd come up with some amazing algorithm. Not amazing, although it would be, but algorithm which causes mazes out of rocks. One Fish, do you guys do internships? You're local and you're just wondering. Right now I'm not doing any internships simply because of where we're at in terms of the company. When we manage to get through the publishing of the game alive, then ideally I'd like to ramp up a small team of a couple other people, and just like an artist and an animator. and keep the team small moving forward. Smaller teams can pivot and communicate better. But anything we have or will have, we'll post up on like Facebook or Twitter or mention it here, you know, whatever. What does you do, OneFish? Are you art, engineering, database? If you're local, do you go to like MSU or like LCC or something? The tree can be high poly. I've got the LODs pretty decent on it. You can pop it open if you really want to see. Oh yeah, we bought it off a marketplace pack. I'll show you. That one was Smart Ancient Trees. Yeah, this one. So this tree at LOD 0, oops, has 38,000 triangles. LOD 1 is 20,000. LOD 2, 9,600. Just because the lighting is really low throughout the whole map, I didn't need to have it be super high poly for the whole thing. And it still looks, because that's LOD 2 and it still looks really good. And especially since I already know that this is going to be quite dark, not that dark, but quite dark. Yeah, and LOD 2, this is just 9,600, and then we've got draw distances on stuff.
Alright, I'm gonna head out. Still have no idea why that is. I'm gonna put something on Reels forums and see what they say.
And we'll make it a little bit smaller just given the shape of the rocks that's on it already. Whoops. Oh, hell. I'll stick that branch back in there. I bet some of the other branches probably wandered. That one's still good. Look, the rest of them look fine. Good, good, good. Thought I had 3 of them. See you, Zeb. Show your next bowel movement. The code problem will fix itself then. Zeb, you're just weird. Yeah. Oh. And we'll just imply that the tree died because it couldn't. There we go. Just line them up a little bit more. Just that way we can have some nice hanging zombies from the tree. Close enough. And I think it'd look creepier if he was a little further out. No, you don't. I don't want you to leave. I'm not quite as interesting as you play video games, and I'm just doing a little bit of world building. But I want this guy a little bit higher, so that way you can see him and you kind of from more places. So when you're down in the maze, you can see that creepy dude up there. Yeah, I don't have the light in yet. Heyo, visions. We're going to get the directional light up just a little bit. Thick Slime, this one's only been, we've been working on this one for like 5 weeks, 5-6 weeks. And we should have it knocked out here like really quickly. Stage 4, technically still stage 3, but stage 3 is like 3 times larger than all the rest of the stages. So this is the end, the final checkpoint of the last stage. Price point in this one's going to be under $10. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Oh wait, fixed time? Does that mean I can charge like $1 billion for this? The subject of the wrath of the internet. At this point, I wouldn't mind. It would mean someone was paying attention to us. Yeah, no, it's been a frustration point of mine. You know, I put more money into the game development than into just the general marketing of it. And at the end of the day, we've got Twaybor, which I have a ton of fun playing, and I haven't had really a lot of complaints from anybody. And everybody seems to really like it that plays it, but nobody's heard about it. And so I erred on the side of making a better product, and we're catching shit about it from kind of the internet community that we have talked to, of saying, well, nobody's playing, so they're not going to play. And it's like, I thought I was doing the right thing by spending the money on development, and it turns out I don't know, I wasn't, who knows. Hard to say. It's just frustrating. And then in talking with publishers, it's been a little bit of frustrating there as well, because it's been a lot of runaround of, you should have gotten a hold of us sooner, or where we had very early on, it was, don't contact us unless you've got something done. And so trying to go between don't contact us until it's done and it's too done has been frustrating to no end. And it is what it is. There's nothing I can really do about it now. I mean, I am still doing something about it. It's just, you know, it's just frustrating. Yeah, I thought I made the mistake of believing that the industry was something that it is not. I thought there was a bit more cooperation, like between development and publishing and sales. I made the mistake of, again, believing that if I just make a really good product, it would naturally have people come towards it. But at the end of the day, it isn't like that. It's more about how quickly you can get in front of social media influencers, like, you know, high-profile Twitch users and streamers and stuff like that. How can fans of the games help out with that? Kristen, that's an excellent question. This will come off as sounding a little bitter, and it's not intended to. It's just, you know, every day I'm looking at how I can pivot and make this a success versus just another story of a try-hard company. We've been reaching out to gamers for 2.5 years to join us on this experience, on this ride, you know, what have you. And even on like our game nights, where we would send out mass emails and posts and we would advertise it for a couple of weeks minimum, we would get 20, 25 people come to play. And these are people that we've given free game keys to. And so, and what they'd play instead is, you know, Overwatch or Paragon or Battleborn or, you know, whatever other AAA game is available. And so for as much as people say they want to help the indie game development, from my experience, it's more of they want to talk more about helping than actually helping. So, honestly, the thing you could help is, excuse me, Rick burped. I've got meetings or game testing demos with a couple of publishers next week, and possibly this week. So, and I know it doesn't always work out timing-wise. You know, people can't just live by my schedule. But whenever possible, join in on our game days, because having people play it makes a completely different experience than just against bots. Otherwise, spreading the word, tweeting, sharing, telling your friends, hey, check this out, you know, that goes a long way for indies. Yeah, Visions, you've been doing great helping out, reaching out to other streamers and community, and it is very super appreciated. I ideally would like to be able to communicate with these people on a regular basis to like schedule stuff, but you know, it's been a challenge because streamers, and I get that they want to stream games that are the big popular ones, and that's how they become bigger streamers. But it's just a fine line of the right timing, the right marketing, that kind of stuff. Hey, Cedric. How you doing, buddy? Missed you this weekend. Hey, Thick Slime. Yeah, I mean, that's something going into it. The problem, and your statement is accurate, the problem ended up being is I had first started developing this game back in 2008, 2009, before there were really any other competing titles other than League at the time. It took me too long to raise the money and build the team, and at the end I'm suffering for it because the product plan was to build Twaybor and then from there branch off and make additional games. And so we made the game first that I had designed first. So in retrospect, if I had known in 2015 what I know now, that there'd be so many competing arena fighters, I would not have picked the same genre to be in. Sorry, I got a little lost in figuring there. So I would have picked a different genre to go into to start. Because like back when I first came up with Twaybor, you know, there weren't really any other than like League and Han on the competitive battle arena scene. And then in 2015, all of a sudden you had a boatload and you had Overwatch kind of stomping the crap out of everybody. But by then it was a little too late. We'd already started development. How hard and how big of a team and funds we need to make a survival game that could be compete with DayZ standalone? Oh, that's hard to say. And the survival genre is kind of, I don't want to say tired, but like there's a lot of offerings on the market right now for that. So you'd have to put a new spin on it before you would get a lot of notice. Realistically, level builder, engineer, artist, animator. So kind of the 4-person minimum. And you could probably get away with 3 people because a lot of times you can have artists, 3D modelers that are decent at animating as well. And there's a ton of animations that you can get on the Unreal Marketplace. So in theory, you could even do 2, level builder and engineer, as long as you bought everything else off the marketplace. The challenge with that is it will look like everything else that's been on the marketplace. So you're going to want to make sure the gameplay is super differentiated. I'm gonna have to sculpt that, and everybody knows how much I love sculpting. So we're going to sculpt up that a little bit, because I hate seeing it when the line doesn't meet the static mesh, and I've already got the static mesh position in a place that I want, so I probably accidentally sculpted it down too low before. And we can assume that it's okay to have a little bit of, actually I can flatten it. Sculpting tool loves to take some time, baking the landscape of mine. I think I need to get the water plane in here because I'm pretty sure I took it out. That rock is alright. There we go, that looks a little better. Yeah, you know, with Thick Slime, this isn't my first business, and being an entrepreneur, you have to get used to things going wrong, and you have to be able to adjust, pivot, and kind of force them to go right. And if you let it get you down, you'll just be dead. You'll be done. Hey Visions, yeah, we did Kickstarter. We've actually done Kickstarter twice and have never had any success. I can't get the media to pick us up. I don't know what we've done wrong. We've reached out to, we've emailed publications time upon time upon time upon time and have never gotten any press coverage. So at this point, I can't really depend on Kickstarter. And Kickstarter's also become a little bit of a toxic zone for indie game development. Very large teams of very well-known game developers have failed at Kickstarter simply because people no longer trust it due to things such as like Star Citizen or No Man's Land or No Man's Sky. Yeah, it did. I thought it was. Or is that just one of the reasons why people don't trust early access? Hang on, my web browser is crapped out on me. I don't know any personally Visions, any German streamers or YouTubers. Oh. Not entirely certain what happened there. Thick slime. Oh, geez. I just rolled funny there. We're actually talking with the company now to get Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch development done on it. And ideally we would launch on all of the platforms at the same time. Our game is platform agnostic in terms of playability. We have already had successful tests of a Linux and Mac version all playing at the same time. The problem ended up being was supporting all these versions was super problematic for us since I don't have an unlimited amount of money for developers. Thanks, Visions. I appreciate it. And again, I don't want to make this sound like I'm trying to be a dick, but I would prefer to write it if like you knew this guy. I don't really like having company business like of a sensitive nature like that outsourced to a third party, if that makes sense. So if it's somebody you want to give me an introduction to, that would be fantastic. Yeah, at the end of the day, if we got a single YouTuber that actually had a serious following, it could make all the difference in the world. I've reached out to hundreds of YouTubers and Twitch streamers, and typically we get zero reply, meaning they don't even respond to say no thanks or tell me more or anything like that. Yeah, Visions. You know, if you know him and want to send him an introduction, saying, because it'll sound funny, but in business networking, if you can get an introduction from somebody, it typically works better than if somebody just cold calls. So if you, just a regular Joe, was like, hey, German dude, I've been following this indie company for a while, and they're good guys, and they've got this cool game you might like. Check them out. Something like that. That oftentimes is more effective than me emailing over saying, hey, I'm Scott, I'm the CEO of this indie company. I'd like to work with you. That referral thing, that warm introduction, it works real well in business networking. So if you want to do that, that'd be fantastic. If you don't, I totally understand. Kristen, any ballpark on release date? Do you mean for Twaybor or for Kate Must Die? Yeah, please, Visions. Kate Must Die, I'd like to have it out within a couple of weeks, to be honest with you. I was aiming for a Halloween release, but we ended up getting diverted a little bit for the main game release because Paul wanted to get it done in VR at the same time. And I thought that was a fantastic idea. And VR required that we optimize some stuff that we didn't need to, for the PC. Because you basically have to get it at, he was saying, you need to have it at 60 frames per second for both eyes. You have to have an effective 120 frame per second for VR to work right. So getting it in VR pushed back our release on it, but ultimately can be a real good thing for product sales. Just PC right now. I no longer have a Linux or Mac developer on staff. And in theory, if we can get ourselves the developer for Twaybor for console, then they can also, port this over. I've kind of got a rule for the maze here, is that you can't ever see a straightaway. It is 4:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are in EST or EDT or GMT plus 5? I want to say. Somebody wants to fact check me on that, that'd be great. God damn it, a portal to the Blender dimension? That's the oldest trick in the book. Good. Nice. Pretty happy with that. Are you in Michigan, Kristen? I'm sorry, I forget. Where is my campfire? Problem with the murder forest is I get lost in it all of the time. So I gotta fly up and find where I stuck everything. That's not what I want. Got the Rick and Morty, Evil Morty song in my head. It's playing in my earbud. Oh, look at that. Nice. Get some sanity light actors in there, get some ambient light actors in there. And you need to go into here for both of these. I just love how these look. Oh, those look so good. So you know what I need to do with them is change this over to be like a 3, no, like a 5 here with this. Attenuation, oh, that's only 400. Let's go 600 on this. And actually, let's go 700. Good night, Visions. Have a good evening. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. Well, I could click on the thing I'm looking for. There we go. And these barrels are all ambient lit, so I can move them around just to see how it looks. And then if I want, I can toss on a sanity light. in this area. We're in Lansing, Kristen. Where are you at? Lansing? We're in Lansing, Michigan. All right. It is after 5, and I'm going to do a light bake on this. And I'm going to go grab some dinner. But it was nice seeing everybody. I will be streaming again tomorrow, probably a little bit earlier tomorrow. I just had a bunch of housekeeping and business-related emails and paperwork to take care of today. So it was not quite as much streaming as I'm sure nobody would really be excited to watch me type up a Word document. But Murder Forest and Murder Maze are looking real good. The lighting, it's coming together real nice. I got both sides done, at least with the building maze. I'm probably going to spend the next 10 minutes or so finishing up the lighting, but I'm going to kill the stream. And then I'm going to do the light bake and just see how it all looks once it's actually baked in, so I can see the brightness and the temperature and the shadows and whatnot. So everybody, you guys have a lovely evening. Finger guns. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.